right. Hi, everyone. Kelly here. Today I have Autumn from Autumn Wood String Studio. We're going to be chatting about how she confidently doubled her studio with a solid work life balance, which is, as we kind of joked earlier, always a work in progress, but a lot of really fun updates in Autumn's life, which has been so exciting to see. So, Autumn, before I get too excited and jump right into questions, can you just tell us a little bit more about your studio and everything that you're doing right now in your music career?
Yeah. So I have a violin and viola studio, mostly violin, but a couple of violas in there, which is super fun. And I also teach orchestra. I teach middle school orchestra, and I'll be starting up an adult beginning orchestra in January. Um, so
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm so excited about the upcoming ensemble because it's so cool to have other community offerings too. And we were chatting about that again this morning, and it's just I'm so excited for you. Okay,
super
tell me a
exciting.
little bit more in the studio. Who is your ideal student when we're looking at our marketing? Who are we trying to attract, or who's that student that you feel really drawn to working with?
Yeah. My favorite students to work with are middle school age students. That's why I also teach middle school orchestra. I consider I teach 9 to 19, but that middle range of about 11 to 15 is really like my happy spot. Those are the kids that I get along with the best, that I work with the best. And yeah, I work with a lot of beginners. A lot of my kids did school orchestra and now they're like, crap, I'm realizing that I've got all of these holes, or like, I don't really know how to read music, or I feel like I'm holding my instrument wrong, or it hurts to play. And so I'm helping them fill a lot of those gaps. But then I also have students who are like bored in orchestra and they want to be pushed and they want to get more and they want to learn more stuff. And so I've also got a handful of students that are needing that extension activity.
Mm.
But a lot of what I work with is students who started in elementary or middle school orchestra who then are struggling and want some help. And so I help them get from that beginning intermediate stage to that intermediate advanced stage.
Just to kind of orient everyone quickly in our timeline, we met. I think we just said it was almost 2 years ago. Was
Yeah,
our initial
it was.
conversations?
It was like probably like January or February 2 years ago.
I think
So,
so too. Yeah, and at that time,
or
this
wait, no, it
studio.
might have even been 2 years ago. I think it was in the fall semester
Yeah.
while I
And
was
we
in
were
college.
we were starting the studio pretty much from scratch at that point. It was a lot smaller, obviously, than even when we started our work together a few months ago. Officially started our work together a few months
Mhm.
ago. So we had been on this journey for a while and had chatted quite a bit about some of the obstacles that you were facing in your studio. So let's just back up this year in the work that we were doing. We'd solved some problems, like we'd raised rates, which was really exciting. We'd fixed some policy things just kind of in our conversations initially, but we were still running into some roadblocks. What were some of the things that were challenging or that were standing in your way of the studio growth and the balance that we were looking for?
Um, I'm really lucky to rent a space from a music store that does advertising for me. Not like any sort of paid advertisements, but like I'm on their wall and I teach at their studio and I have my business cards there. And when kids come in to buy instruments and they're like, "Do you know any good teachers?" They're like, "Oh, there's Autumn upstairs." But it was slow. Like
Mm.
I was getting maybe one student from them a month. Um, and so when we first met 2 years ago, I had like 5 students, and I had just started. I'd been going for about 6 months, I think, at that point. And then by the time I actually started the actual Outside the Box program a year and a half later, I was at 12 or 15 students. I don't remember the exact number, but somewhere around there. Um, and it was just like, how do I get past this
Yeah.
barrier to like get more students? So it was a recruiting issue mostly of just like, okay, what do I like? How do I get more people even like asking about lessons?
Yeah. Well, and it's hard too because we had this situation with the store where we're getting, like you said, we're getting inconsistent referrals, but we are getting referrals. Like there's great visibility there. But also because we aren't doing a lot of the outbound marketing, are all of them an ideal fit? Maybe, maybe not. You're just kind of taking what's coming, and that's, I know, a point that can cause some frustration sometimes.
Yeah.
On one hand, we want the studio to grow, but on the other hand, sometimes we're saying yes to opportunities that aren't actually fully aligned. And that doesn't always feel super great either. So that balance is really important. At the same time, we had a desire to have an orchestra job because it is a really important piece for you. I know it's really fulfilling for you.
Yeah.
So
I was in eighth
yeah,
grade when I decided I wanted to be an orchestra teacher. So like
So much.
that's why I was in a music ed degree. And
Yeah.
but in high school I taught private lessons and I really enjoyed that. And then I had a part-time orchestra job while I was in college and I enjoyed that a lot, but I missed
Mm,
private teaching
yeah.
when I had that orchestra job. And so then I had to quit that job so I could finish my degree.
Yeah.
And so then I 180'd and I did just the private studio and then I missed the orchestra job. So I knew that doing one or the other wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, at least right now.
Yeah. Now, part of our conversation around flat rate tuition and structuring the studio and creating the stability that we needed in the revenue from the private studio was a desire for that balance between both of our positions and both of our passions. But also the fact that having a school job is a lot.
Yeah.
Even though we know we want both, and I know that you feel really strongly about that, we needed some flexibility in the schedule to make that happen. So tell me a little bit more about obviously kind of how we've solved it, but also what that's done for the balance that we've created.
Yeah. It is a lot having both because I have to balance after school activities like concerts or parent teacher conferences or back to school night, um, honors ensembles that like come up once a year and different things like that. And so being able to balance that was definitely a concern because it's like I can't just be canceling lessons all the time. Especially because I have almost no availability for makeup lessons. Like I have a half an hour a day that I try to keep open that if a student needs to make up, and then I have Saturdays open where I don't normally teach, but I have time available on my calendar.
But you also want time off and like
Yeah,
sometimes
like I
you need a
want my
weekend.
weekends. I'm
Yeah.
married. I want to spend time with my spouse.
Yep.
Um, he wants to spend time with me, and so I don't want to work on Saturdays, so I don't teach on Saturdays most of the time. But because of my schedule, I have that available only for makeup lessons. But I can't just be offering makeup lessons for things that I'm canceling all the time. And so Kelly's suggestion of having 2 to 3 sick days slash personal days built into the calendar where I teach those lessons for free has been so helpful for me. I get headaches a lot, and so there's been days where I've
You're
tried
like,
to do
I'm
it
like, I'm over
before.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, before I switched to the flat rate tuition and had those days built in, if I had a migraine, I had to be with a migraine texting students trying to coordinate when we were going to make up
Yeah.
that lesson, or I'd have to give them a refund. And that's how my policy was before Outside the Box. But after I switched, it's been so nice to just be able to say, I'm sick today. And then when the parent goes, well, when are we going to have a makeup lesson? I'm saying, this is one of my 3
Yep.
personal days that I have built into the calendar. And then they go, oh, I forgot about that. And that's been super nice. But then I got an orchestra job teaching middle school orchestra part time, which is super exciting. But I'd already built out my calendar for the year. But then I went in and I looked at, okay, like here's how many sick days slash personal days I have left. And I realized I had only used 1, maybe 2 of my 3 days with everyone. So I was like, perfect. I looked at my calendar and I realized I had Labor Day on Monday. I had a concert on Tuesday in October. I had honors orchestra on Wednesday. I had another concert on Thursday and I had my studio recital on Friday. And so I just said, I'm taking these days off. I'm using one of my personal days for these days and it's been super nice. I used one of them on Wednesday for the honors orchestra and it was so nice to just come home after being at work all day because I had to go for the full day for the field trip. Come home, take a nap and then go to the concert. Um and not be stressed about like, oh, but now I have to do all these makeup lessons and I feel
Yeah.
bad because we've got our recital coming up. It was like, no, they've gotten the lessons that they paid for. And then tonight is the recital for my studio, and being able to say, tonight's the recital, no lessons, and not have to, oh, but let's do a group lesson to make up for it. Or having to coordinate with like 6 different people on when to switch lesson times, being able to just
Yeah.
there we go. Like I've already built this into the schedule has been super nice.
Good. It was, and that balance is so important because again, it's something that you want to do. You want to do both of them. So we need that flexibility to make it happen. And even if you didn't have the orchestra job, for all the other reasons that we were talking about, it's important to have that flexibility. I think it just makes us better teachers when we're present too, because we have the opportunity to get rest and
I'm
downtime.
not
And
trying to teach lessons with a migraine anymore.
yeah,
Like,
which I mean,
it's so
no
much
fun
better.
for anyone. Even holidays, like just knowing that you can take off the whole week of
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
next
and
week, no lessons.
we don't have to worry about rescheduling anything and like trying to squeeze lessons. And obviously, there's also flexibility that if you'd used an extra Monday or Tuesday, we could teach that Monday and Tuesday Thanksgiving week if you want. But
Mhm.
having those levers to pull, I think, makes us feel really in control, and also means that we do get rest. Like we are incentivized to take the time off as opposed to pushing through teaching 50 out of 52 weeks and doing a million makeup lessons and not really ever resting and recuperating. That time off is important as a teacher. It brings you
Yeah,
back so much
and
more mentally clear.
I'm able to take time off for family reunions, for the 4th of
Yeah.
July. When I have spring break, I can take at the school, I can also take lessons off that week just because I don't want to do any work that week. And
Yeah.
so the flexibility is super nice. I have 10 weeks off during the year, which as a school teacher, I also have the summers off. So I'm able to coordinate my schedules together in a way that I'm.
I love it. And now we're looking at some more scalability, which is
Mhm.
really exciting too. Because again, having you said it so beautifully this morning when we were chatting, of course, before we hit record, but you were talking about how the balance between the two is so important for you because it's really fulfilling for you as a teacher and an artist, having that one-on-one time with your students, having the ensemble. And so now we're looking at this adult ensemble, which is such a fun idea. And we're looking at launching that for the new year. Just tell us a bit more about the concept behind that and kind of how it
Yeah,
came to be.
I've been trying to do chamber music with high schoolers and it just hasn't come off the ground. And so that was going to be my like big scalable idea. And I've just gotten almost no, I've gotten 2 random cellists
Yeah.
who were like, I'd be interested. And one of them was a middle schooler who was like, I don't have any friends in orchestra. And then one of them was a high schooler that we never even got to the consultation stage just because I was like, I don't have any upper string players
Yeah.
at your level who are like looking for a quartet right now. And so that kind of fell on its face. So I've been scrambling the whole time I was in Outside the Box trying to like get this thing going and it just wasn't working. But then while I was in the Facebook group, while I was doing Outside the Box, I was seeing what other people were doing and hearing people talk about like their jazz ensembles that they're coaching or like talking about choirs that they're in and things like that and being like, man, like I wish that I could get this quartet thing off the ground, but it's just obviously the wrong idea or the right idea at the wrong time. Um, and meanwhile, because I like teaching middle school, early high school age students, um, I would be getting adult students asking me to teach them lessons, and I would just have the same problems with them every single time. Like they could be the best student in the world, practicing all the time, making huge improvements, and then they cancel because of a work thing. They get sick, their grandkids are visiting, or just it's just too busy and they can't do it this week. And so that was something that was really hard for me because I like teaching adult students, but their scheduling just really wasn't working out for one-on-one lessons.
Well, especially since your schedule's so packed.
Yeah,
There's never a
like
lot
I
of room
really
for
don't have
people.
time to have a student
Yeah,
who
it was
a
stressful.
spot that nobody's coming,
Yeah,
even if they're paying for it. Like I just that's not something that I can do.
yeah,
And I was like, you know what? But there's tons of great community orchestras in my area, but they're all for people who played through high school. Who have experience, who can already play their instrument, and they're coming in and they're being able to play Harry Potter and like do like their pops concerts and stuff.
yeah.
And I was like, man, like it would be really nice to be able to keep teaching adults in a way that doesn't clog up my schedule, but also something that I can keep scaling without having to add more and more hours to my teaching schedule. Because I've only got 3 more spots in my studio,
Because they're
but I
growing.
would love to continue to grow and to be able to have more freedom in my budget. Because I want to use my vacation weeks for vacation.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. Um, and so then I don't know, it just kind of randomly I had the idea of what if I started an adult beginning orchestra?
Mm,
Since I'm really good at teaching adults, I'm really good at teaching beginners, and adults are really good at just like soaking in the information and like applying it. And so I was already doing Facebook posting, which is something that you do a lot in Outside the Box, is you're doing these posting cadences. So I was like, for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to post. I think it was actually, I'm just going to post in this one group, see if anybody would be interested. In that first post that I did, I had 15 people comment on it. Like, oh, this sounds so fun. This sounds, or maybe it wasn't 15, but it was like way more than I had on any other Facebook post I'd done. Every other Facebook post that was about my studio had gotten maybe a like, and if I was really lucky, a comment. Um, and so to have 5 to 15 people be like, oh my gosh, this would be super
Yeah.
cool. Like, what instruments would it be available? And I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm onto something. So then the next 2 weeks, I just was posting in all these Facebook groups that I was in. And during that process, I had, oh, I forget what the numbers were, but I think I had 40 people total comment on those posts saying that they would be interested. And out of those 40 people that commented, 20 of them I was able to message and get their email for a waiting list. Like, it was insane because, like I said, I was going from like 0 to 1 0 to maybe 2, or like, I don't know, like I was getting almost no engagement on my studio posts to all of a sudden having 40 people be like, I would be interested. And those are only the people that commented,
Right.
not even the people that
Right.
just liked it and moved on. So I was like, oh, I'm onto something here. And then it was just a flurry of like, can I find a rehearsal space? Because the music store I rent from doesn't have a big enough space.
Sure. For an
So
ensemble
I was
concert.
like,
Yeah.
can I find a rehearsal space? Can I find a performance space? Like, how much would it actually cost? And this was all like right in my last 2 weeks of Outside the Box. So I was like, what do I charge for this? And like figuring out all those details. And but yeah, and so I'm getting ready to next week when I'm off for Thanksgiving is to finally send out that email to that wait list and start posting on those Facebook groups again, to get those people that liked it or maybe didn't even see the original post, and get that registered. And with that, I'm anticipating I'll be able to add over $1,000 a month to my
So
studio
exciting.
income with only adding an additional hour of teaching a week.
It's so exciting. And the best part about this, like the scalability is incredible and it's a great lever for us to pull. This is also something that you really are passionate about. I mean, we as you kind of told the story about the chamber ensembles, one of the things that we kept running into is that your ideal student tends to be middle school, and a lot of the middle school students don't feel ready or aren't interested in adding the chamber ensembles yet. It's like the mix was just it wasn't quite aligning, and that was a frustrating point. But also at the same time, as you said, we had a lot of frustration with our adult students who were just not as consistent. So to have the scalable option, the fulfillment of getting to work in a large ensemble, which is always what we wanted to be doing, and then also this balance where you get to help the adult students who scheduling can be a challenge for otherwise. It's
Yeah,
just
and like if
so
they can't
fulfilling.
make it to a rehearsal, it doesn't impact me as much because I still have 14 to 20 other people showing up. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about this. It's going to be a
I'm
great
super
January.
excited.
It's going to be a great January. We have done a lot of work out of the box. I know you're talking about the Facebook group posting and how that's generated some leads, but that's not been our main source of students over the past few months. What do you think? I know we've kind of said this before. Like, what do you wish that Autumn, back when we were first talking, even 2 years ago, would have known about kind of the magic sauce or the experience that has built your studio?
I think for me, it's been school visits. That's been the biggest lead source for me. Um, I was able to have a ton of students. I had like an additional like 5 to 8 students over the summer that just were doing summer lessons,
Yeah.
which was an idea I got from Outside the Box. But most of them were because I went and visited their school in the spring and did a clinic and then sent their teacher a flyer about summer lessons. Um, and that was super awesome because during the summers as a school teacher, I have more availability so I can add more students temporarily, um, and being able to scale that way. And a few of them registered for fall lessons, um, after finishing that summer lesson package. So that sort of thing was super helpful. It also was kind of a realization that if for some reason I decide not to be a full-time orchestra teacher or even part-time orchestra teacher, if I decide to go full in on just studio, that I could still get that classroom experience that I love by going and doing these clinics. Because that was super fulfilling last spring when I had graduated and I didn't have a job lined up yet.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I was just going to be going full studio or if I was going to be getting a part time job. Being able to go and do those clinics, it was crazy. My area was really, really excited about them. I think the number was like I did 40 clinics in 30 days. Like it
You
was,
were cruising.
I was cruising. I was doing, like, there were some days where I visited 3 different schools on the same day. Um,
I feel like I have to put the disclaimer that like that's not the case for every studio or
no,
every location. I just
yeah.
feel like I have to put that little asterisk that like that's maybe above average by a lot, but also because you were so excited about it, like we were going back to schools and we were like we were building really strong
Mhm.
relationships because it was something that you were really really excited to do more of, and
Yeah,
so
and
I
it was
love
something that I
that.
was comfortable with too, because I
Yeah,
know a lot of people in the Facebook group were like, "What do I do when I've got 30 kids with an instrument sitting in front of me?" I'm like, "Oh, some I've got plenty of tips as somebody who just finished a music ed degree and who teaches middle school orchestra." Because it
because
is
you've been in that
intimidating,
community. Yeah,
especially if you're doing it for a high school ensemble that's got like 60, 70 kids in there.
it can be
It's
very
like, what do I do? How do I do this? And so it was also something that I was really comfortable with, which I know is not the case for everyone, but I
yeah.
loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah, Autumn was all over the Outside the Box Facebook group chiming in with recommendations, which we so appreciate. I think that's one of the benefits of the group too in the community is that everyone has different
Hmm.
experiences. Like, that little exchange of information where you're obviously sharing and supporting folks that are doing school visits, and at the same time you're getting the idea for the adult ensemble and some of those interest gathering posts. I think that's such a cool. I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think it's such a cool part of this. Like we get to work together and collaborate, right?
Yeah, especially with a job like being a private studio teacher where you're alone in a room with a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
it can be pretty isolating, even for me, where I'm at a music store where there are other people that I can hear their lesson happening next door. I don't know his name. Like, I've taught piano lessons in the room next to this guy for probably 2, 3 years, never talked to him.
Yeah.
So it can be pretty isolating, but being able to be a part of a group where I'm able to bounce ideas off of people, stop bothering my spouse like, what do I do about this or that? And then as soon as I was no longer in the Outside the Box group, suddenly he was getting all of it again. But being able to have somewhere where I could say, I've got this student or this parent that's really on my nerves, or I don't know how to deal with this difficult situation, help me draft this email,
Yeah.
or like, can you all read over this and make sure that it's professional and that it's not going to come across wrong?
Yeah.
I miss it. I miss that aspect a lot. Especially to have a group of people who are all doing the same training. And so we all have the same sort of
Yeah.
mentality about studio policies. Because I've
Yeah.
been in other groups where people are like, oh, just take the money. Like, don't kick them out of your studio. And I'm like, okay, but they're like going against my policy. What do I do?
Yeah.
And so being able to be in a group where everybody is like-minded about like what is the goal, what does it look like to be a business owner, not just like, oh yeah, I'm making money teaching lessons.
Yep. Yeah. It can be a really great hobby and it can be a full-time income. And we have to treat it differently depending on what the goal is, right? It makes me so happy to hear. It has been so fun. I mean, selfishly, like we really have gotten to work together in some capacity for the last 2 years because we were kind of like I would
I
check
did
in
the free
sometimes and say,
consultation 2 years ago, and then I
yeah,
did it again, and then Kelly was like, you should do the program, and I was like, okay, and I'm so glad I did. I recommend it to my friends all the time.
oh my God, thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you for
Like,
saying that.
I went out to coffee with one of the violinists for my quartet, and I was like, everything I was saying about how I built my studio was all stuff I got from Kelly.
That makes me so happy to hear. Oh, and it was a long process. Like we thought about it for a long time. We talked about it a couple times over the years. What what was it for you that kind of kicked you over the fence, if you will?
One of it was I had a long-term sub job lined up, so I had the income.
Yeah.
So I had graduated from college in December, which is an awkward time to graduate with a music ed degree.
Yeah, because it's right in the
Um,
middle of the school year.
yeah, so it was the middle of the school
Yes.
year, so there weren't really jobs available right in December.
Yeah.
And so I was subbing. And I had a long-term sub job that I had enough income coming from that I was like, you know what, I think we can afford this. And my spouse is a musician too, and so that's been super helpful where we were able to like, no, this is worth the cost. And doing the call with Kelly and her explaining just like how much the studios grow, who do the program, we talked about it and it was like, I think I need to do this because whatever direction things end up going, if I don't get an orchestra job,
Yeah.
then I have this studio thing I can not fall back on, but kind of fall back on where I can just go full steam ahead. I ended up quitting that long-term sub job so I could focus on Outside the Box, but I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't already had that in place. So having that there, doing that for a couple weeks, making enough money to like confidently be able to quit that and still pay for Outside the Box. And then going full steam ahead. And then it was those next 2 months where I had those like 40 clinics or whatever it was. Um, but being able to just really bet on myself and say, like, I know I'm going to be a great orchestra teacher. I know I'm a good private studio teacher, but people don't know who I am because I'm just graduating from college. Like, I'm not some big name in the area where people are like, well, I want to take from Dr. So and so at the university. Um, I'm just some kid with a bachelor's degree, and for some people's mind, even though I know what I'm capable of and I know what I'm worth, it was just like, how do I
How do I present
tell
that?
people about myself?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
build
so
that
being able to do the
respect.
program really helped.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's been, again, like it's been so much fun to see the growth over the last few years. I just remember getting an email from you like a year ago that you had raised your rates significantly following a conversation that we'd had, like just one of those little check-in calls or emails that we'd done at one point and talked about raising your rates. And thinking back on that version of Autumn,
Hmm.
like right around the time of graduation, where it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did this and it worked. And
Yeah,
everything went well, and everyone likes me and they want to keep paying me more money. Like that was such an exciting feeling to this version now. Like to see
because
that
I
confidence build
doubled.
has been incredible.
Yeah, because like I said, I started with 5 students when I met with Kelly the first time. And so it was like very small studio. I was a junior in college, junior, senior. It was kind of in those one of those in between years. And then by the time I started the Outside of the Box program after I graduated, I had 12 students just from that initial phone call, of ideas. And then,
I'm so happy to hear.
yeah, doing the program, getting from 12 to now 20 plus with this orchestra thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, and that's wild too. I didn't even think about that when you're doing the numbers, that it's not even counting the orchestra. There's just so much more happening. It's so exciting. There's so many good things happening. And this, again, like seeing this journey and this growth for you of just the confidence in which you make decisions and try new things, and like even going out and posting and gathering some interest for the adult orchestra is a big scary choice to like put ourselves out there in that way, but you're doing it so confidently and excitedly and moving so quickly now, and it's fun to see that change and progression in you too. So I'm so excited for you, so proud of you, and wild to think back in the last couple of years and everything that's happened, and
yeah, it's
little
been a
windows in that along the
crazy
way. It's
couple
been
of years
fun.
because I also got married during that time.
Yeah,
So it was like,
there's a lot that's changed in all of that.
yeah,
Just a few things.
just a few.
Oh my gosh. Well, I again just so excited for you. Thank you for sharing all of this too in your journey, because I know it has been a wild ride. You've put a lot of work in the studio in the last 2 years, and obviously in the last few months, really taking it to this next level. I'm excited to see what 2026 has in store for you too, especially with the ensemble. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Final little parting thought, just in case folks are curious about what you're up to and they want to check you out online, where can they find you?
Oh, yeah. My website is autumnwoodstrings.com. And then I also have a Facebook, but I'm not like super active on my Facebook business Facebook page, but it's also Autumnwood String Studio. And yeah,
Perfect.
I'm pretty active in the Utah music education scene. So if you're in Utah and you're part of the Utah Band Directors page, I'm fairly active in there. Um, even if I'm actively lurking. But I'm hoping to get to know more people. So if you're in Utah,
Yeah. And we love networking. Please reach
Yeah,
out. Amazing. Thank you again. It's been awesome. Just this little like walk down memory lane has been so much fun and so cool. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy and thank you for sharing. I know it'll be really important and impactful for a lot of folks. Thanks
thank
again,
you.
Autumn.